Before we get started with today's show, I just want to remind you that you can save 10% on your order with Symphony of Balloons, a luxury balloon company that also offers a 360 camera. Just simply mention you heard about them on Breaking Through Glass Ceilings. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Breaking Through Glass Ceilings with Uncomfortable Conversations. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. This show, of course, is brought to you by B. Waters Productions. Folks, so for the past 2 episodes, we've talked about the restaurants, right? It all started with the Cheesecake Factory lady, which we then followed up with the response to the fact that it was a script. Well, there was a group of ladies who put together a list. Yes, and in pro wrestling, you may have heard, you just made the list. But there was a group of ladies who put together a list of restaurants and places that they refused to attend on their first date. So, as the trained journalist that I am, not just a podcaster, I went and found that list. So, of course, y'all can read if you're on the YouTube. Shout out to everybody who watches on YouTube. If you aren't on YouTube, you kind of know, but you can find the list on there. But I'm gonna just name a few things that seem ridiculous, and I'll even make some points that I say, all right, I can kind of agree, right? All right, for a first date, they say no Waffle House, no Denny's, IHOP, a buffet, Red Lobster, Wingstop, Buffalo Wild Wings, the movies, Olive Garden, Chipotle, Chili's, Applebee's. Of course, the number one was the Cheesecake Factory. Oh, Starbucks. Let's put that on there. So these are the ones that I'm like, really though? And I'm looking at this list and I'm like, wow. Okay. And I see that this list has made Fox News. It's got people talking all over the place. You know what I mean? And you think, wait, they really talk about this. And one thing talking about it on the podcast, right? Like I saw Stephen A. Smith talk about it. I believe they talked about it on the Ringer's Higher Learning. But to see it on the news, I'm like, all right, now. And what's so funny is this list comes out after it has already been proven that this was a script, the Cheesecake Factory video, that is. So, I reached out to the lovely woman in my life. And I said, babe, you mind if I bring this up on the show? She laughed. She said, no, you should talk about it. So some of these places, right? Now, I will say that our first date, the place that we went to, is not listed here. But for the sake of this conversation, I will say that is the equivalent to the Cheesecake Factory or Red Lobster, right? And we went out, and one time I said, we went out since this whole thing that went out. And I said, you know what? We're going to the Cheesecake Factory. It was a surprise. She didn't know where it was going. I said, we're going to the Cheesecake Factory. She said, I don't have a problem with that. And I just don't understand, like, first of all, you know what this list reminds me of? You know how you have every time basketball season starts and you have these group of people, like the ESPN list, right? You remember when that would come out and you had these group of people who put together the list of top players, and then you have the players responding and they get upset. I particularly remember in 2013, Kobe Bryant was listed like 25, and he said, well, I always knew there were a bunch of idiots over there. So that's what this list reminds me of. It reminds me of the people who put themselves as the authority and said, this is a list that women refuse to go to. And again, just like I said with the Cheesecake Factory, I went on the timeline and I saw a bunch of women laughing at this list, and they did not agree. They said, some of these places are just ridiculous. So I'm gonna go back on here and I'll say, I can understand where they're coming from. And me personally, these would not be where I would go on a first date. And that is church. Now, y'all know I go to church every Sunday. I'm a producer, video producer. that's not going to be a first date. I can understand the gym. The gym is very intimate. You're wearing less clothing. You're vulnerable. You're also, people hit on people at the gym all the time, but you might not be ready to expose that side. You lifting heavy or running, you're going to be sweaty and smelly. Might not be something you want to do for a first date. It said movie night, meaning Netflix, Hulu, etc., and family functions. I can understand that. Family functions is very personal. You don't even know if you like the person, let alone bring them around your family. A movie night, which, let's put it, because they say your house at number 7. So I can understand that as well. You don't know this person. Again, you don't know this person. And remember, we're talking for the sake of this conversation. First date of somebody you're just meeting, not a friend and y'all going on your first date, as with my situation was. We already knew each other. Then we went on a first date. But yeah, so those are the ones. And like I said, church, the gym. I just don't know. I can understand those being on this. Oh, nightclubs. Why would you want your first date to be at a nightclub? Because it just seems weird. So I'm looking at this list and I'm like, well, at the end of the day, who is the person in charge? Who was the authority figures for this list? That's the part I didn't understand, especially when I see so many people. Again, this reminded me of these top player lists or these power rankings when you have a bunch of people ranking these things and then you got so many people online disputing it. Except in this case, I saw so many women disagreeing with this list. They said, no, this is not the case. I don't agree with this. So that right there was certainly interesting. But yeah, let me know what y'all think. I always like to engage with the audience. Let me know, how do you feel about this? Let's tweet me at Brian H. Waters or drop a comment in the YouTube, or even, if you want to leave a review on Apple Podcasts, by all means. But let's see what else happened this week. We talked about the Jay-Z. Let me know if y'all saw that full interview. Again, I saw people. Let me tell you what annoyed me. I understand the world of social media. I understand you need content, right? But Fox Sports, they did this thing where they was asking their host for speak for yourself. I ain't gonna say annoying. It's like it's more so a duh, right? For all fairness. So they asked who would want the $500K, who would want the dinner for Jay-Z. You know who said they would take the dinner with Jay-Z? People who have already made it, like LaShawn McCoy. He's made $500,000 in a matter of a few games. Of course, he's going to take the dinner with Jay-Z. Like, to me, the question, you're at that point, you're disqualified from this question. It just doesn't make any sense. So that was very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want to support this podcast by wearing a t-shirt, whether it's the one that says breaking through glass ceilings or the one that says no ceilings above success, simply go to foryourwear.com. Also, you can support some of your other favorite podcasts and content creators, including Those Wrestling Girls, Seahawk, and the Wrestling Club. And you can support some of your favorite independent wrestlers, including Jay Bougie, Trisha Dora, Chaz the Dawn. Shoot, all the Pure Ignorance is on there. So go on foryourwear.com, go under personalities, you'll find Brian H. Waters, and buy a t-shirt. And remember, I'll give you a shout out on the show. Podcasters and gamers, we all know it can be intense. We're talking, we're getting hyped, we're passionate. Sometimes we need a boost. Well, you can get that by getting Rogue Energy. Rogue Energy is the #1 supplement for podcasters and gamers, and they have tons of different flavors, including Strawberry Burst, Tropical Breeze, and Cotton Candy. And you can save 10% by putting in the code Brian H at checkout. So go to rogueenergy.com and enter the code Brian H to save money. Dwight Howard is in the news. And if you've been watching, paying attention, and shout out to my brother, the real Dwayne Allen, who gave me the update before we record the Wrestling Realm. Dwight Howard is in the news. Now, this is so crazy that it's not that people are looking at, hey, Dwight Howard is being accused with sexual assault. It's more so that people are saying they're making fun of Dwight Howard for being gay or saying, I told you so. He's being in the news, he's being sued for sexual assault, and to which, because he's being sued, he had to tell the truth, in which he admitted to having consensual relations with this gentleman who is accusing him. And it's one of these things, man, you know, it is his personal business. It's- I'm laughing because he went on his Instagram live and said when people call him gay, he said, whatever I'm doing in my bedroom is my damn business. Whatever you're doing in your bedroom is your damn business. That's the truth. And then he also would go on to say, I ain't got to tell nobody where I put my wood at. In 2019, he does not, to say he does not identify as gay. I think what's so unfortunate is the part that's being overwritten. Nobody's paying attention. Like, this dude is being tried for sexual assault of another man. But sexual assault, like, that's dangerous. And so, for the sake of everybody involved, I would hope that he wouldn't be sexually assaulting anybody, you know? And it's just unfortunate that all this happened. He's right. What he do in his bedroom is his business. You know what I mean? Um, it's his business, but the biggest issue is being kind of swept under the rug, and that's the part that's really horrible about this situation. You know, because it's just so much going on in this world, and it just sucks, man. Like, you shouldn't be sexually assaulting anybody, and no means no. At the end of the day, he's denying that a lawsuit was filed. So I just, say, but yeah, no means no. Uh, at the end of the day, um, definitely want to hit in some sports news. The Ravens are on Derrick Henry watch. Or as I said, the Ravens flock is on Derrick Henry watch. I don't do too much sports talk. Every now and again, y'all know I did every day without the Orioles, but I definitely wanted to talk about that. Very interested in to see what's going to happen. I would love for the Baltimore Ravens to pick up Derrick Henry. I was on the Cheap Heat podcast earlier today. Shout out to Peter Rosenberg. I was producing and, just stayed on the mic to talk everything wrestling. And we started the podcast off talking about everything that's going on in sports. He was like, I know you're doing well. And, it feels good that the Ravens are taking care of business. I would love to see Derrick Henry here. I know some people don't, but I definitely would. Would definitely love to see Derrick Henry in Baltimore. We all know what he did in 2019 in the playoffs. You imagine him and Lamar Jackson. If he could just give us just a little bit, man, oh man. Basketball season did start recently. I'm a Los Angeles Lakers fan, but boy, they do not make it easy. I am not gonna lie to you. I am at that point like, Anthony Davis was just not good this past week. And I should say in the opener, after all the trash talk, you would have thought that, hey, he's going to step up to the plate, brother. Take care of the Joker. But right now, it looks like the Denver Nuggets, I mean, they just came out and rolling. I guess maybe they're going to do it again. But, Lakers did get the win yesterday against the beaten, or I should say hurt, very hurt Phoenix Suns, a team that a lot of people are excited just for the simple fact they do have Kevin Durant. They do have Bradley Beal on that team added with a Devin Booker. Now, Chris Paul is gone, but you got three people who are, let's be real, MVP candidates. maybe MVP caliber players. Bradley Beal was, many people may have said he was a big fish in a small pond in DC, but at one point he was Batman. I should say he was Robin, and he became Batman. So that was a big deal. So I don't know. I like to see the Phoenix Suns. I want to see everybody healthy. Quite frankly, I hate when there's injuries. So I want to see everybody healthy. But for my Lakers to get it done, I put this out the other day. I know Anthony Davis had 30 points yesterday and 12 rebounds. He could have gave us 30 points in the opener. They would have won. But I like to see, when I watch basketball, I want to see, everybody healthy as possible. It makes it more fun. So we're going to see about that. Lakers got the Kings on Sunday. So who knows? It looks like they're not doing many. Okay, they are some back-to-backs this year. But I'm gonna definitely try to jump into more basketball. As baseball's winding up. Game 1 of the World Series starting in a few minutes after as I'm recording this podcast. My official prediction, I'm gonna go with the Rangers in 6. That's who I want to see win it. If my Orioles had to lose, I want to see them lose to the eventual champs. I've seen the Arizona Diamondbacks win the World Series in 2001. That was one of my favorite teams to watch. Randy Johnson, my favorite pitcher of all time. Kurt Schilling before he was canceled post-career. The 2 co-MVPs, Luis Gonzalez, at that point at one point of that season was competing with Barry Bonds for the most home runs. Now, that was the year Bonds would go ahead and hit 73 home runs. I'm going to do an episode soon about the steroids. It's a piece on Netflix that I want to watch first because I have very strong feelings about the steroid era. Maybe, may not be what you think, but that's where I am as far as that. Definitely want to give a condolences to the family of Richard Roundtree. He's known as the first Black action hero. It's ironic. Been watching Being Mary Jane, and he's on there. He's the father to Mary Jane, and for him to pass away, it's like, man, it's very, very sad. But shout out to him. Thank him for his wonderful career and his contributions to Black culture and Black film. And I'm gonna close out. This is I'm not going, but this is City Poly Week. If you're in Baltimore City, I am a proud City College alumni. Definitely want to say City forever. Maybe the reason I wore a orange and black No Ceilings Above Success shirt, which you can get on foyerwear.com. But City has won the last, I calculated the other day, I think it's the last 10 or 11 games. When I was in high school, I never thought they would tie the record or let alone take the lead in the series. We was always down like 5 or 6. When I was there, the record's 2-2. On the field, it was 3-3. But nonetheless, the City College Knights will suit up again tomorrow and hopefully get it done and beat Poly again. I know that it's a very exciting time usually, but I won't be there. But I will say, shout out to everybody who went there for the tailgate. Good luck. Have a great time. Be safe. But my City Poly days, they were fun, but I'm out of here. So, ladies and gentlemen, remember, do not let anybody place a ceiling above your success. So long, everybody.